Hello and welcome to Unit 4. Today we're going to do exponent properties. This is Miss Moreland and we're just going to start with what we learned in 7.1 and move on to the rest of them. It should be quick. Just make sure you do the on your own at the end. So we're going to start with the two properties in 7.1, which is the zero property and the negative exponent property. So you should have learned that in 7.1 that anything to the zero is 1. And you should have seen negative exponents in two ways. One where the negative was on top in the numerator, and one where the negative was on the bottom in the denominator. If the negative exponent's on top, that means you switch it to the bottom, so you get 1 over a to the n. If the negative exponent's on the bottom, meaning it's in the denominator, that means you put it to the top, so you should just get a to the n. So now we're going to move on to a few examples. So the first one, you got 4k to the negative 2. The 4 is going to stay on top. The k to the negative 2 is going to go to the bottom, which makes the exponent now positive. Notice the 4 is not raised to anything. There's no parentheses, so the 4 is not raised to the negative 2. It's just the base that's right next to the exponent, and in this case, the base is k. The next one is 7 to the negative 2. So since it's a negative exponent, we're going to put a 1 over, and on the bottom, we're going to get 7 squared. Now, we always want to simplify numbers. So we're going to make it 1 over 49 because 7 squared is 49. Right? Our next example is 10d to the 0. Now this is getting you to seem like you need to do work by distributing the 0 to both parts. But anything, if it's got a 0 outside of the parentheses, it's always going to be 1. I don't care what's inside, it's always going to be 1. Now this one I have an exponent outside. So I need to make sure I distribute that. Oops, excuse me. Hold on one second. Technical difficulties. Right, I need to make sure that I distribute this negative 2 to all three bases. What I mean by bases is 3 is its own base, a is its own base, and b is its own base. So I need to distribute it to all parts. So when I do that, I get 3 to the negative 2, a to the negative 2, and b to the negative 2. Since they're all negative exponents, I'm going to put 1 over, and I'm going to get 3 squared, a squared, and b squared. Whenever I move the negative exponent to the correct spot, meaning in this case it's on top, so it's going to go 1 over, the exponents become positive. Notice. Now I have one last step. The only thing I can simplify is 3 squared, and I should get 9. So I get 1 over 9a squared b squared as my final answer. Right, the next one, notice I already have this nice arrow drawn. If both of these are negative, so it's like I'm going to reciprocate them. The r to the negative 5 is going to go on the bottom, because it was negative on top, and the s to the negative 3 is going to go on top to make it a positive exponent. So I'm going to flip it around, right? Notice that x and y both have a negative exponent, so I'm going to put 1 over. On the bottom, I'm going to get x cubed and y squared. Notice the exponents are now positive because I moved them to the bottom. Right, our last two examples. Anything to the 0, I don't care what it is going to be 1. And here we got two negative exponents. A has a negative 7 exponent and D has a negative 4. What that means is A is going to move to the bottom, D is going to move to the top, and B and C are going to stay right where they're at. So my final answer is going to be B squared on top. The D, oh excuse me, that should become a positive 4 now because I moved it to the top. Right? And on the bottom, I'm going to get a to the 7th, c to the 3rd. So notice my d should be a positive exponent, my a should be a positive because I've switched them around. Right, so for your homework tonight, complete the on your owns, and see you tomorrow.